Good evening and welcome to this ordinary meeting of the Planning and Transportation Advisory Group. Meetings of the Town Council's committees have been temporarily replaced by advisory groups and will be conducted in accordance with the Town Council's agreed remote meetings protocol. This meeting is being streamed live and is available to view on our website. I will now ask the Assistant Town Clerk to carry out a roll call of all councillors and would ask you to confirm that you are present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Buckland.
Present.
Councillor Chase, hopefully that's apologies there. Councillor Long.
Present.
Councillor Tandy.
Present.
Councillor Tilbrook.
Present.
Councillor Turner.
Present.
Thank you. And just to confirm, Chair, Councillor Butcher is joining the meeting this evening as an observer only and will not be participating in the meeting.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the agenda, item 1, mobile phones. Members are reminded to switch their mobile devices to silent for the duration of the meeting. Item 2 is apologies. I will ask the Assistant Town Clerk to read the names of those who have sent their apologies.
So just Councillor Chase this evening, Chair. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item, 3, declarations of interest. The standing declarations are noted. Members and officers are reminded to make any other declarations if they become apparent at the appropriate time during the meeting. Can I ask now if there are any further declarations? No, no additional ones. In that case, moving on to the next item. Item 4, minutes. Minutes of the meeting. Oh, sorry, Councillor Buckland, have you got a question?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Obviously, I haven't been able to mention this because we've been in obviously election mode and purdah and things like that. And this is obviously the first time that I can actually bring this to the committee and the new committee that it is, fortunately or unfortunately. Madam Chair, in our minutes, we discussed in our last meeting about the planning application LU 23820 out, the land west of Bridge Road, Littlehampton, Bravo, November 17, 5DF. Madam Chair, our response on 128.1 was that we objected. I'm not sure if the committee members are fully aware, but the West Sussex consultation has been undertaken, and that the design team's response to the road safety audit has been prepared, and all matters raised in the RSA have been addressed in accordance with the auditor's recommendations, and there are no outstanding matters raised through the audit process. So I was wondering, Madam Chairman, if it's a possibility that we actually, if we can, remove the objection of 2.8.1 from our overall objections. 128.2 can obviously stand because obviously I have no updates on whether or not in reference to the affordable housing provision, whether that's viable or not, Madam Chair. So over to yourself, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Buckland. I will refer to the Assistant Town Clerk, if that's right, for guidance in terms of what we can or cannot do to minutes that reflect our last discussions.
Yeah, indeed. I'm not sure if that's still open anyway, but There were two grounds there in terms of the committee's objections. So for the affordable housing provision still remains a concern for this committee. That recommendation would more than likely, the objection would still stand.
If that's okay, Madam Chairman, that objection would still stand, because like I said, I've got no evidential proof or anything to do with that side and whether it's viable, etc., etc. However, I do have documentation which it should be on the Arran District Council website. Like I say, the design team from the West Sussex consultation and all matters raised in the RSA have been addressed in accordance with the auditor recommendations, and there are no outstanding matters raised through the audit process. So that's been clarified quite plain and clear by West Sussex County Council Highways. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Buckland. I think our reference should be to pass those comments on to the District Council for their consideration.
If I may, Chair.
Please.
I'd need to check the details, but that information should, as Councillor Buckland indicated, have been put on the planning portal. So the District Council would be aware and will take that into consideration when they're assessing the application. For the purposes of this committee, as I said, the committee's objection was twofold. The affordable housing issue has yet to be addressed. Are members content that the objection remains?
Any comments from other members? Councillor Tandy.
Thank you, Chair. I haven't had a chance. I didn't know that there had been an update. If, as Councillor Buckland suggests, that the West Sussex have come back and said that they are happy with it, then I think we all know, those of us who have been in this committee for long enough, that West Sussex kind of rule the roost when it comes to transport. So on the basis that if they have agreed with what's been proposed, then I would be content for us to withdraw that if we can see that. But like the Assistant Town Clerk said, I and Councillor Buckland said, I would like the affordable housing. That is still an objection if it's not been proposed. So if I could propose, Chair, I would be happy that we resolve to delegate that to yourself and the Vice Chair once the plans have been reviewed. But I certainly don't have an objection. If the matters we raised have been dealt with, I think that's a good thing that it's been listened to. Yeah. And if that means we have to delegate to you to withdraw, I'd be happy to do that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Tandy. No other comments at the moment. So are members happy to accept that proposal?
Agreed.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, Chair, we will check those comments on the portal and delegate authority to yourself and the Vice Chair in consultation with the Town Clerk to review those comments, but to confirm that the affordable housing provision, if that has not been addressed, remains an objection for this committee.
Yes, that's fine. Oh, Councillor Turner.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. This is my inexperience here. We're approving minutes of the last meeting. Surely the fact that that was what was discussed and was minuted in that meeting should stand. The fact that it should be on this minutes, that objection would now be withdrawn. So we're approving.
If I may, Chair.
Please do.
Yeah. The content of those minutes, as I understand it from Councillor Buckland, are not being contested in terms of accuracy. He is just bringing forward details of an update and seeking consideration of that.
Okay, so that would go into these minutes for this meeting.
That's correct, yes.
And the minutes of the last meeting stand.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm quite happy to approve those minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. are we all clear and happy that we will look at the update to check that that is correct, and that the minutes of this meeting will reflect that outcome, but the minutes of the last meeting reflect what was discussed at that time?
Agreed, Madam Chair.
Agreed, thank you.
Thank you all very much. I was going to read out that the minutes of the meeting held on the 26th of April have been circulated. It can be found on pages 4 to 11. Can I ask if everyone is happy that they be approved with those amendments later? Arrangements will be made for these to be formally signed when circumstances allow, and this will be recorded within the minutes.
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed, Chair. I think you've got another question.
That's fine, Chair. It's okay to proceed.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 5, Chair's report and urgent items. I'll ask the Assistant Town Clerk to advise if there are any urgent items.
There are none, Chair.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 6, public forum. In accordance with the remote meetings protocol, which has been introduced by the Town Council, any members of the public wishing to address the Council or any of its committees during remote meetings should have emailed their submission to us one clear day before the meeting. Are there any submissions received?
There are none, Chair.
Thank you for that confirmation. Next item is 7, planning and other Arran District Council matters. Who's Councillor Tilbrook? Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd just like to declare a personal interest in this agenda item 7.1 as a member of Arran District Council's Planning Committee, and I can confirm that when considering formal planning applications for Littlehampton, I shall do so without predetermination, taking into account the papers that will be before me at that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that.
Tilbrook. That's noted, Chair. Sorry.
Thank you. So item 7.1, planning applications on lists 17, 18, 19 and 20, shown on pages 12 to 13. I think the list 20 was sent round on Friday.
That's correct, Chair.
Yeah, the supplementary list which has been circulated separately. And I'll ask the Assistant Town Clerk to take us through, and then we'll ask members for their comments on each one. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So page 12 of your agendas, please, members, and this is list 17. And the first application on that list is at 23 St Catherine's Road, which is to erect a single-storey side extension to the current building. And just to note that this particular building is noted in the Town Council's neighbourhood plan as a building of special interest in an area of special character. Other than that, there are no comments on the portal. I'll hand it over to members, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can I open it to members? Any comments, please? Thank you. Very quiet. If there are no questions, I will assume that we have no objections to this. Councillor Buckland has a question. Thank you. Over to you, Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can't actually, is this to the rear of the property?
It's to the side.
It's to the side, right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know, Madam Chair. It was coming up a bit. Looked like it was at the rear at one point, to the rear of the building. And that, so No, that's fine. Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got no objection.
Thank you. You're welcome. Any other queries from any other members? As I say, in the absence of any comments, I will assume no objection. Is everybody happy with that?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
And the next item is at 48 Pier Road. That's reference LU 11921, which is the conversion of a roof space to a habitable space to include a dormer and a Juliet balcony, and the conversion of a roof from a hip to a gable end. Hand it over to members for comments, Chair. There's nothing on the portal.
No, thank you. Any comments, members? I can't see anything coming through. Nobody's typing. I must admit, when I looked at this, at first I thought, oh, can we? But then if you look further along that same block, it's already been done elsewhere. I was quite happy with it, but I can't see any other comments coming through. So again, I will assume, in the absence of any comments, that everybody is happy with no objection.
No objection.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The next item on your list, members, is number 18, the Winter Knoll, and that's reference LU 11021HH, and that is to install a new fence, gravel boards and concrete posts following the removal of an existing brick wall. Again, no comments on the portal, so I'll open it to members for comment.
Thank you. Any comments, anybody?
Councillor Buckland has a question, Chair.
I think that was from just now, if I'm correct.
You're correct, Madam Chair.
Sorry.
Thank you. Nobody seems to be typing, so no queries coming through. Again, I looked at this and it actually reflects the fencing, as far as I can make out, the fencing that appears on the other side of the road. It will look nice, I'm sure. So is everybody happy? No objection?
No objection.
No objection. Agreed.
Thank you, Assistant Town Clerk. Moving on.
Yeah, take the next two items on the list together, if I may. It's a building and listed building consent there for the property at the farm, 39 East Street. And it's a listed building consent for some changes to the building there, which involves the division of the building into two separate dwellings and some works externally to support that, which are limited, but internal works to create the division within. This building is listed and is in the East Street conservation area. There's one letter of objection recorded on the portal, but as yet no comments from the conservation area officer.
Thank you. Comments, anybody? Nothing coming through?
Councillor Buckland, I think.
Councillor Buckland, yes. Over to you, Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question was actually, even though I put two questions up there, I was a bit quick on the first one. Was the case that Juliet answered that, which was about the conservation area and obviously the conservation officer, and I mean, I would have thought, and I think I'll state this again, that when it comes to listed buildings and such like, that I think we should have a report from him before it actually comes to us. so we can make a confirm, and have a confirmed decision in what we're actually looking at, whether or not they think that it should be, done or shouldn't be done. So that's where I'm going to sit, as it's a listed building, that I think that we should be taking instructions from the conservation officer in reference to it being a listed building, and whether or not this type of work should be being undertaken, and especially as the building is being put into 2 rather than its original, and is the work's going to be like for like when it comes to the suggested essential roof strengthening work, and that. So yeah, I do have concerns over this one. So, Madam Chairman, I sit on the proverbial fence with this, and I'm going to go for an objection due to the fact that I believe we should be taking guidance from our conservation officer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Buckland. Any other comments? Can't see anybody typing. Oh, Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I agree with Councillor Buckland on that. I think we should be having guidance from the conservation officer before we make a decision on this. So I would be prepared to second his proposal.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Any other comments at all before we sum up? I can't see any more. Can I ask the Assistant Town Clerk to just summarise where we are? Can we actually put in an objection on the basis of lack of guidance from the professionals, as it were?
Through you, Chair. In terms of the lack of guidance, obviously it's regrettable that that isn't there at the moment, but if members aren't happy with the proposal based on the information they have before them, and were minded to object on the grounds that it would have potentially have an adverse effect on the listed building itself.
I'm happy with that, Chairman.
Thank you. Any other comments? Agreement to that?
I agree.
Thank you. Anybody else? I've only had 2 of you.
Agreed.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're agreed. Councillor Tandy, did you agree to that?
Personally, I have no objection, but I'm happy to go with the majority.
That's fine. Thank you very much. So, objection, as we just described, but hopefully it will be nice. There was a lot of detail in there, very technical detail. Can't say I understood all of it, but anyway, thank you for your comments. Moving on.
Okay, on to page 13 of your agendas, members, and the next item on the list is the property at 12 Cornwall Road, and that's reference LU 14521. And this is a change of use application to change an existing house into a 9-bedroom house in multiple occupation. There are a couple of objections already on the portal, although there are comments from West Sussex Highways suggesting that it wouldn't have any adverse impact on the highways. The comment most recently on there is from the District Council's HMO officer, which suggests that the accommodation doesn't meet the required standards, even for the type of property that the change of use is requested. I'll hand it over to members for comments, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Tandy.
Thank you, Chair. My favourite subject. And I'm in one way, I'm really pleased with the response that's on screen from Aaron, which I think basically takes everything that I'd written down. I'm glad that they've noticed it too. But I absolutely, Chair, would like to propose that we object to this for the following reasons. The proposal is contrary to Arran District Council's houses of multiple occupation standards in that, and as described, I don't need to read it all out because I think we can just take it from that document. The kitchen does not meet the minimum size requirements. The bathroom in a number of the rooms do not meet minimum size requirements. And perhaps most alarmingly, bedrooms 4, 6, 7, 8 and 9 are all inadequate when compared to the standards for room sizes. And equally, Chair, and I know this won't get anywhere despite what West Sussex say, but policy HSP4 of the Arran local plan gives the 3 criteria that houses of multiple occupation must meet. B is excessive parking demands, and whilst West Sussex will say it's close to the town centre, we all know that most of them will bring cars. 9 cars onto Cornwall Road. I mean, you can't get one car onto Cornwall Road at the moment, so the idea you're going to get 9 is ludicrous. And I will just say it. I've been to Arran's planning committee before to argue against this, and I'll happily go again.
Thank you for the offer. Thank you for your comments.
And I'll second that, Madam Chairman, please.
Thank you. Councillor Turner, you had comments.
Actually, Councillor Tandy got in before me, and with all those points, I entirely agree with him. Parking was again one of my bugbears, that there was going to be insufficient parking, but also the fact that these rooms are far too small. So all of the above. So I'm very much objecting to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Buckland, did you want to add to the comments that we've already had?
Madam Chairman, thank you for your time. Madam Chairman, I totally concur with everything that Councillor Tandy has spoken on this item. As he well knows, this is one of my pet hates as well. And I think that both of us could actually agree that we understand that people need to live somewhere. However, the decimation of a good quality family home and being turned into a 9-bed HMO, which is inadequate in every aspect, and including you know, my pet hate and Councillor Tandy's hate or dislike in reference to parking on our very narrow streets. You know, totally concur. You know, we cannot keep having this West Sussex statement that it will not affect our on-road parking situation, because every time we seem to be up against it, and I don't know how or you know what angle we've got to attack this at, but it's a definite objection by me. And like I say, I totally second and concur with everything that Councillor Tandy has spoken. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have a summary, please?
Certainly, Chair. It's an objection to the proposals on the grounds that they're contrary to the District Council's own local plan policy for houses in multiple occupation. Also inadequacy of the parking arrangements, bearing in mind the existing demand on street parking in the area, and overdevelopment of the site based on the occupancy proposed and all of the accommodation sizes.
Lovely, thank you very much. I'm just almost going to assume that we all agree to that objection. I was surprised at the County Council's comments as well, as has been pointed out. Currently a 5-bedroom house, moving to hopefully become a 9-bedroom house. Oh, anyway, so are we all happy with the objection?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you all very much.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. The next one on the list there is the property at 19 Northway Road, and that's reference LU 14021, and that is to build a first floor rear extension with a Juliet balcony. There are no other comments on the portal, so I'll hand it over to members for their decision, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments from anybody? I can't see any coming through. I can't see anybody typing. So can I assume that in the absence of comments, we are happy to have no objection to this?
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed.
Thank you. Okay, and the next.
Thank you, Chair. The next item on the list there is at Flintacre, Toddington Lane, and that's reference LU 14621. It's an outline application to take or to create another detached dwelling. Again, there are no comments on the planning portal. There is a design access statement indicating how the site will be used. I'll hand it over to members for comment, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments, anybody? I can't see. The way the dialogue comes up, I can't see who this has come from, and I've got two CTs. Is it Councillor Turner?
Has indicated he wishes to speak, Chair.
Thank you. I can see it now. Thank you. Councillor Tandy.
Thank you, Chair. There's been a long history on this site, and I know there is a comment that they accept it in the design and access statement that it was refused. A similar proposal was refused in 2013. However, as they rightly say, that was before the local plan extended the built-up area boundary to include pretty much all of Courtwick with Toddington, given the new housing development. On that basis, I actually don't have any problem with this, given that we've already approved, or are in the process of approving, 1,200 homes around here. I don't think one is going to make a huge difference. And actually, to their credit, they are providing parking. It does look to be quite a well-designed house. So, no, I personally have no objection to this, Chair.
Lovely. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else got any comments? I must admit, it does look nice. And looking on Google Earth, it is as shown on the plans, it is a big space that they're making available. So in the absence of any further comments, I shall assume or offer that it's no objection.
Agreed, Chairman.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Lovely.
By the way, it's raining again.
Oh, yeah, lovely. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chair. That puts us onto the supplementary list for members, and that begins with an application at 2 Foxglove Way. That's reference LU 16021 CLP, and that's a lawful development certificate for a proposed single-storey rear extension to the existing house. This is a fairly recent application, so there are no further comments on the portal. Open it up to members, Chair.
Thank you. Any member got any comments at all on this? There is an existing conservatory at the back of this house at the moment, which will be removed, and the extension there to replace it. I can't see anything. Councillor Tandy, was that from the last one? You're still up as a comment.
Indeed, Chair. There's no objection from me.
Thank you. Again, I can't see anybody wanting to make any comments. So are we happy with no objection on this one?
Agreed, Madam Chair.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The next one on the supplementary list there is reference LU 15821 PL, which is an application by the District Council to install a porta cabin to provide temporary toilet facilities from July through to September on a piece of open space at the junction of Arran Parade with South Terrace. There is one objection on there.
I thought there were two.
Maybe, yeah, I looked earlier, sorry, Chair.
No, not so.
Hand it over to the committee for comments.
Thank you. Right, somebody is there. Is that Councillor Tandy? Oh,
No.
No. Sorry, I cannot see who's.
It's fine. It is me, Chair. I'm sorry. It's me again.
Thank no, where the dialogue comes up.
I mean, the only word that comes to mind is why. Like, if we didn't have any toilets on the seafront, I would kind of understand this, because, you know, we are hopefully getting to a point where we're going to have quite a lot of people coming for like staycations, as it were. But I mean, all the things that I've heard people complain about on the seafront, I mean, toilets is never one that's high up. The only complaint I ever hear about toilets is they're not cleaned very often, which I don't see how adding more is going to solve that problem. And quite frankly, if I'm being honest, from a design point of view, it's ugly. The idea of sticking a porta cabin on the green by the beach, it just, I just don't understand the logic or the purpose to this, Chair. And it just feels like it's solving a problem that as far as I'm aware, I've not heard anyone complain about this, and I just don't really see the purpose. So I'm minded, unless I'm convinced otherwise, that we object to the simple fact that I just don't think it's what we want to see if we're attracting tourists. The idea of sticking some porta cabin toilets on the ground.
Thank you, Councillor Tandy. Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm going to again concur with Councillor Tandy. However, I do believe that there could have been a more sensible site to put this on if it's actually required. Now, where they're talking about locating it at this present moment of time is right opposite the fish kiosk. Now, let's behave. Yeah, that's going to, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that's going to cause, you know, the extra, if I dare say, that even our fish kiosk doesn't smell, but would attract, you know, smells and possibly unwanted insects or whatever the case may be. Why this can't be put further up Arran Parade, you know, towards the smarts fencing, if that's wanting of the word, or even you know, further up Arran Parade and just bolt it into the lay-by area. I have no idea, but I can't agree to this in this position, being right opposite the fish kiosk, being near the fish and chip shops, which probably isn't a bad thing, but I just think the location could have been better thought of, you know, and like I say, placed maybe further up Arran Parade, away from, you know, the main areas of where the children are going to be playing, adults, etc., etc., the boating lake. You know, I just think it could be placed further afield up Arran Parade rather than being right opposite the fish kiosk. So, Madam Chair, it's a total no from me, I'm afraid. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. I agree wholeheartedly with both Councillor Tandy and Councillor Buckland. I think it's a mad idea. My first question was why, as well as Councillor Tandy. Why do we need it? There's toilets at the corner of Norfolk Park, and there's toilets in the Harbour Park. So I'm not sure that it's needed, but if it is needed, then perhaps it could be located at the Banjo Road car park, which would be more likely where people would need it, at the car parks. So I'm very much against this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Tilbrook.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I broadly agree with everything that's being said. My assumption of the logic of why they put it at the location they have, I'm assuming they're doing it in response to the pedestrianisation of the of Pier Road during that period. So that might be the reasoning behind the location. So just in terms of if we did want it somewhere else, I'm not sure where there would be a logical place if that is why they're doing it. But again, I broadly agree with everything that's been said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your comments. Yes, why was the first thing that sprung to my mind. So can the Assistant Town Clerk summarise where we are? Or not?
Juliet, you're muted.
Forgive me. Sorry, I was just saying that there are no other comments on the website supporting the application other than plans. So in that respect, summary of the comments from the committee are an objection in terms of the visual impact and inappropriate positioning of the facilities.
Is everybody happy with the objection?
Can we incorporate as to why they want it at all?
Yeah, it's lacking any support statement really as a need for the facility.
Lovely, thank you.
Through yourself, Madam Chair, also the fact of if they do require it, can it be relocated away from the the fishery? The fish kiosk, that's the word.
Somewhere a little more appropriate, if that's
absolutely
possible.
Yeah, and I believe, and I do honestly believe that Arcade Aaron Parade there has got the room for such a thing if it was actually seriously required. So relocation, not where it is. Thank you.
Lovely.
I have that, Chair.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for your comments.
Okay. The next one on the members list there is reference LU14121PL, and this is amendments to previously approved reserve matters application on one of the phases of developments on the Hampton Park development. This one proposes some minor changes to a group of dwellings on the north side of this particular plot, and replacing the house type to provide an affordable housing house, and some other changes to the position and layout of other dwellings there. This also includes change to fencing, acoustic fence there, and retaining wall boundary treatment. There's quite a number of plans there to show exactly where the position of this particular plot is. I'll hand it over to members for comment.
Thank you very much. Members' comments, please. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. I have to say I was very confused on this. I'm not sure I understand why there's the need to move it a metre. Is it encroaching onto the road and making the road narrower? And also in the summary, it was talking about removing a garage and replacing it with a parking space at plot number 38. I couldn't find plot 38. If somebody would be good enough to point it out to me, I'd be very appreciative. But I would also appreciate an explanation as to what it is they're actually trying to do, because I was very confused. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Do we have any particular reason for them wanting to move things so slightly?
My take on the application, Chair, is that the levels of the site have prompted them to make these minor changes. It is difficult to understand because there's a lot of detail in terms of the plans there, but much more than that I can't say.
Thank you. Do any other members have any comments? And Councillor Turner, is that explanation adequate for you?
I'll be guided by the rest of the committee, to be honest. I couldn't see where plot 38 is as part of this planning application. So I find it difficult to be able to say yes or no. So I'm having to be guided by the rest of you. And if you are all approving it, then I'll have to agree it.
Thank you very much. I can't see any other comments coming through from other members. So on the basis of that, can I suggest that we are not objecting to this? Can I have your responses?
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed.
Agreed, Madam Chair.
I'll accept the majority there then. Thank you.
Thank you all. So no objection on that application.
Thank you, Chair, that's noted. And finally, on the supplementary list, planning application reference LU 15121 PL, and this is at 25 River Road. And this is a new application that has been presented on this particular premises. Members may recall that this last came to you and was proposing a development of 9 flats initially, and this has now been reduced to 5 on 2 buildings with provision for 4 parking spaces. There's a detailed design and heritage statement attached to the planning application that explains how the site is expected to work and the proposals. I'll hand it over to members for comment, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any comments, members? Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For clarification, is this in the conservation area? And again, have we got any advice or support from Arran District Council from the conversation? My wordy. Yeah, you know, that gentleman, I'm going to say conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may, Chair, just for clarification, it's on the edge of the River Road conservation area.
On the edge, is that inner edge or outer edge?
It's close enough that it is a significant planning consideration.
Thank you, Madam Town Clerk. Right. I just don't like these applications, and that's my personal opinion. I just don't like them. Keep coming back. And as it's again within the conservation or very close to the conservation area, and again no support from the officer concerned at Arran. I'm not happy, and I'm happy for myself to object to this on the grounds that there may be plans, etc., and how it's meant to work. But you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's a no-go zone from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members have any other comments to make? On the basis of Councillor Buckland's comments. Oh, Councillor Tandy.
Thank you, Chair. I was delayed because I was still, after about 3 attempts, trying to work out the plans because they're not the easiest to follow. My favourite topic is always space standards, and I think they're just about there, but it is quite tight in some cases, but I think they're there. The only comment I would make is parking is I can only see, unless I'm looking in the complete wrong place, because these plans are all confusing. It says only 4.
Yeah.
And if we're doing 5 flats, and I know I don't want to come across as like Top Gear, but let's be honest, we all know like 5 flats will attract probably 5 cars, if not more. And again, it's the same as we talked about with Cornwall Road. Is the idea, if anyone has ever walked down River Road or any of the side streets and can find a place to park a car, let alone a bike, I mean, quite frankly, they'd be doing well. So I'm happy to support Councillor Buckland if we add in that the parking, in my opinion, is insufficient. I note that from what I can see, West Sussex, and I know it is on the supplementary, but I have no doubt West Sussex will say it's no problem. But well, I think those of us who live around here, like we all do, know that River Road will not take any more cars. Thank you, Chair. And
Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll actually concur with everything Councillor Tandy's added, and I'm happy that he's happy to support me if that was his words were to be used. So I'm very happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Turner.
I'm probably just taking up time by saying I agree with the 2 gentlemen before me, Councillor Buckland and Councillor Tandy. Parking is ludicrous in the Littlehampton area, and this is just adding to it, and we could do without it. So I think something needs to be done in terms of them generating more parking space when they build flats. So if they're converting this into flats, then instead of it being 5, it should be 4, and that space should be utilised as parking space. So I would agree with objecting on the parking grounds. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In that case, I can't see any other comments coming in, so it sounds as though we're objecting regarding the parking. Can the Assistant Town Clerk just summarise for us, please?
Yeah, fairly straightforward, Chair. It's on the grounds of inadequate parking that the committee would be objecting to this particular application.
Thank you. Everybody happy to object on that basis?
Agreed, Madam Chair.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Fine, thank you very much. So I think that's all the planning applications.
That's correct, Chair. That concludes them for this evening.
Thank you very much. Moving on then to item 7.2, the payphone. We have an update.
Thank you, Chair, if I may. At the last meeting, we had details of the apparent decision at the time of BT to decommission the payphone on Clun Road, and having made inquiries regarding potential to adopt it, I've now been informed that that's no longer an option for us. So I just asked members to note that.
Thank you very much. From the document that we have in front of it, it doesn't say whether it's staying or going, just that it's not up for adoption, but one assumes that it is staying.
Yeah, if it was going to be decommissioned, they would advise us as so.
Thank you very much. So members are happy to note that update.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 7.3, we have a Rampion 2 statement of community consultation on pages 15 to 16, and I can see Councillor Buckland is typing already.
Did
you want to give us an overview first?
I will just briefly, it's really for members to note, but this information was sent to the mayor, as was at the time, and it's just an update really regarding the consultation process. I would ask members to note that, but obviously Councillor Buckland is the Town Council's representative on the Rampion Community Liaison Group, so I'll hand back to yourself, Chair, to take that point.
Thank you. I will ask Councillor Buckland for his comments.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I thought when I was going to become the representative, it would be quite a clean and cut scenario. Talk about getting bombardment from all types of angles would be an understatement. Madam Chairman, the consultation process seems to be very much lagging, and it's very much coming to its end of time where Rampion will be able to just move on quite quickly. So we must make sure that the consultation takes place. Now, I don't know if any members saw the recent write-up at the Chichester Observer in reference to the 116 turbines that are being prepared, or possibly proposed, shall I say, loosely tongued, to take place off the beaches of Climping, and stretching, you know, and it will, whether agree or not agree, it will put a blot on the landscape. There's no ifs or buts about that. And I know that there are many that says not on my doorstep, thank you very much. However, in some aspects, I do have to agree with them, because at the end of the day, these are going to be 325 metres tall. And in reference to that, that's as tall as the Eiffel Tower. Now, if you want 116 of them leaning off the coast of Climping and facing Bognor and Selsey, then, you know, okay, fine. So I think we need to be very careful in what we read and what we understand before the Town Council coming to any type of formulation of how we think. And I'm sitting here on the other side of the screen having a complete open mind, because I'm getting a lot of information that isn't singing true with myself, i.e. like there are issues which have been brought to me in reference to the wind farm at Worthing, and also with this one. Now, the government guidance is actually that they have to be 25 miles out at sea, with which, if that is the case, and that's the government guidance, it means virtually it will be in the shipping channel, with which isn't going to happen there. Now, elsewhere in the world, Holland and places like that, they've put a ban of vessels and that going near said wind farms, and that. So I think with an open mind, Madam Chair, the committee and the council, we will have to literally take step by step and really be in depth with what we're reading and what we're seeing, and that, so we can actually make a proper firm decision on what's coming up in front of us. Even though rumour has that they're going to be putting their, I believe they're planning application in by the end of July / beginning of August. I'm not 100% on that, but we do need this consultation that they've promised us, as in the Climping and Littlehampton Town. We do need to see this happen, and for not allowing them to get away with keep changing dates or moving on. And I totally understand that we've had all this COVID issues and all the rest of it. I get all of that, but we seriously need to have a consultation, especially when you've got places like possibly Bognor and Selsey. Selsey, I know for definite. Chichester District Council didn't even know anything about this until very recently. So, you know, there's a little, I'm not saying underhandedness, but there definitely isn't enough awareness of what's being proposed and what's going on, because from whatever angle that we look from, Littlehampton, Bognor, Selsey, that stretch of coast are going to see these. And if they bring that proposal forward and we get these ones which are really, really big, 325 metres tall, which is 1,066 feet, which is virtually as high as the Eiffel Tower, well, you know, is that what we want to use to attract people to our towns and coastal villages? I don't think so. But, you know, we need to have renewable green energy, I will admit, but that's where I sit. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Buckland. Assistant Town Clerk, do you have a follow-up?
Oh, actually, Councillor Buckland has taken the words out of my mouth, Chair. Yes. He urged caution, and that was all I was going to say, because obviously there is a further public consultation planned, and the letter that has been received also refers to the community meeting that Rampion are aiming to organise with the affected parishes. But they can't do that until they've refined their draft proposals. So in lieu of that, members would be minded to reserve any judgment until they have those applications. And of course, bear in mind that Councillor Buckland is there as the Town Council's representative on that community liaison group if they have anything they wish to raise. Hand it back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Turner, you have a comment?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, I have to confess to being very, very confused. There is so much information out there, and it's difficult to distinguish what is true and what is false. Even yesterday, there was a repeat of an article that was in the Daily Mail in 2018, which was against this. But then you read the comments, and the comments are, well, this is somebody who's against wind farms anyway. So it would be useful if the council had some way of issuing us with some information as well. That would perhaps be a bit more informative, and also knowing when this consultation is going to take place so that we can go and have this explained to us. But of course, that's going to be very biased in favour, because that's going to be the people who are wanting to do it. I also thought we had got the kelp beds that was going to prevent these wind farms from being placed in the sea off Littlehampton, and also why can we not object to them even going so far when the government guidance is for 25 miles, in which case they shouldn't be putting them off the coast of Littlehampton at all. The only benefit I could see is that it might prevent some of these super trawlers coming around past Littlehampton. But that would be my view. I need more information. Why are we not? Why are we even considering it when the government guidelines are 25 miles and they haven't got 25 miles to be able to put them in? So that I would be, you know, I would just like more information, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before Councillor Buckland, can we just go back to the Assistant Town Clerk, please? I think you wanted to say something.
I was only going to say, and I suspect Councillor Buckland will say the same thing, really. Very conscious that there is a lot of publicity out there at the moment, which gets in the way of the information. And all I would say to you as members is that, as with any planning application that comes before you as a statutory consultee, all you can do is consider the merits of that application based on the information that you receive at the time. So it is going to be difficult. This is a huge thing, and it's something that none of us have really experienced to a great extent in the past. So it will be a challenge, and I'm sure Councillor Buckland will take note of any comments as and when the next community group meeting is convened. That was all I needed to say. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman, and I totally concur with everything the Assistant Town Clerk has just said. But however, just to assure Councillor Turner, there are many things I believe yet to overcome, including issues about the kelp. We've also got issues about whether or not does it or does it not affect the fishing. We've also got issues in reference to the size of these wind turbines, in reference to different types of migratory birds, some that are rare, some that are not so rare. And these birds, you know, they're not only are they coming to the Arundel Wildlife Centre and that, but they also fly to Pagham and places like that. So there's a lot of things that need to be discussed and undertaken, and quite rightly, as the Assistant Town Clerk has said, we've got to take we've got to, deflect some of the false information that we are, or even the public are fed, and actually work with the real information, which will hopefully come through as time goes on. In reference to the consultation, of course, it's going to be slightly biased by the people that want to run the proposals and the development of this. But, you know, I'd like to think that in my capabilities of your councillor that's been elected to sit on this group, that I will try to bring you as much information as I can when I can, and I promise to do that. Until then, even I myself, you know, I'm very much heavily involved in this, and as I said right at the beginning, been bombarded from all corners, which I didn't think was, you know, I've been in that position before, but not as much as this one. So it's very controversial, and I think that we've, you know, we as a council have got to, you know, go with the air of caution on this, because I think there's a lot of things that haven't been, in my book, addressed, and I can only but say to yourselves, you know, please rest assured that I will try to do what I can. And as the Assistant Town Clerk said, if you've got any issues, then write to me, talk to me, you know, and I will go forward and ask the questions that you want me to ask. So, you know, please don't sit there and go, you know, oh, well, can't be bothered, or whatever the case may be, but please do so. And then I can take it to the table and I can ask them awkward questions. So thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that. There's all sorts of, I'm not sure if it's misinformation or whatever, but there's a lot of things being said out in social media, and it is difficult. But I think you're absolutely right that we note this particular statement that we've got in front of us, but we do hang fire until we get more concrete, that's almost a pun, more concrete information coming forward. And I thank Councillor Buckland for taking this on. Was there anything else that we wanted to add, Assistant Town Clerk?
That's all noted, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for your comments on this one. And moving on, item 8, transportation and other West Sussex County Council matters. 8.1, environment permit application, re the energy recovery facility at Ford. Over to the Assistant Town Clerk just to summarise where we're at with this.
Yes, moving from one controversial matter to another, I guess, Chair. Again, this is not something we've experienced before, and this, just to emphasise, is separate from the planning application which this committee has already viewed and considered, and that was fairly recently. So we have the proposal for the waste treatment facility, which is yet to be approved in planning terms with West Sussex County Council, to which this committee objected. This is slightly different. All facilities of this nature would require a permit from the Environment Agency in order to operate. I'm sure that's something that members would have expected anyway. There is a consultation process behind these types of permit applications. So it's not something that can be considered in normal planning terms, but there are things that can be taken into consideration when they are looking at the permits. So the sorts of things that they are looking at is specific sensitivities regarding how it will operate and the impact on the environment, and they will use the information based on this to either approve or not a permit, and set conditions attached to it in terms of the management of the site and its impact, and how it is reviewed and regulated going forward. We are invited to comment on this particular application in those terms, so I open it up to members for their views, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. During the period of purdah and lockdown and all the rest of it, etc., there has been a study on vehicle movements, which sort of like basically has landed on my desk quite kindly. Thank you very much. And it's quite a scary number, especially, believe it or not, up and around the Ford area there, of basically in and around, in a week, 28,000 vehicle movements in a week. Now that's a lot of vehicle movements within a period of 5 days. Now I was trying to sit down and work out 275,000 tonne of non-recyclable, non-hazard waste, and what HGV movements that was going to be. Now, if I remember rightly, when I was sitting on the special committee for the Eco-Town, they were talking of a similar figure of 270,000 tonnes per year, which I'm sure worked out to something silly like 100 odd lorry movements per week to come in and out of the Ford recycling plant. And that was one of the considerations that was given against, and I do reiterate, against the Eco-Town, because of the vehicle movements. Now, as much as you may see a 40-foot Arctic with non-recyclables or whichever, the vehicles do not come fully laden, because the materials that they bring are not crushed. They're just poured into the back of them units. And so once they're loaded, and they may not even be carrying even 30, 40 tonne. So they're not, the vehicles are not being used at their full capacity in carrying weight, because they can't get any more in. So the question has to be, how many HGV movements are going to actually be used for getting 200 or the approximately, I mean, is this approximate? I don't know, but they're saying capable of treating up to 275,000 tonnes of non-recyclable, non-hazardous waste each year. Well, is that what they're suggesting, or is that a permanent number, or is it going to be more? So, and like I said, when I sat on a select committee for the Eco-Town, this was one of the reasons why it got refused, was because of the transport movements that was going to provide the rubbish to the facility. So, Madam Chair, in reference to that, I think we need to make serious notes on that. If we are at the moment with approximately 28,000 vehicle movements on the 259 along that Climping Road stretch to Bognor to Littlehampton, and that's per week, what amount of, you know, vehicle movements are we going to be looking at, including HGV, just to supply this? So, Madam Chairman, that I think needs to be noted and put forward to West Sussex in reference before, or the Environmental Agency or whoever, before this is actually agreed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Assistant Town Clerk has a comment for us.
I was only going to say, Chair, if it's helpful for members, in the non-technical assessment, one of the many documents attached to the original planning application, it does refer to average daily operational heavy goods vehicle movements, which are forecast to be in total 218 per day. That's just to give you an idea, but it doesn't go into any more detail, so I would summarise from that that would be the maximum, and that they would be taken at capacity in order to get benefit from them. And just to note that emissions, if that is a concern in terms of vehicle movements and their impact for noise and odour, for example, would be something that would be taken into consideration when assessing the permit. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Assistant Town Clerk Harris, it did state 218 HGVs, but that was only either going in or coming out, so that has to be doubled. So movements in and out will be over 400.
It's 109, it says one way, so 218 is the total daily they would, just for clarification.
Okay, but we don't have the infrastructure for this, for this massive increase in vehicle movements. We also know that these vehicles, these heavy goods vehicles, are not going to be able to come out of the facility and turn left up towards Arundel. They have to come down onto the 259. Well, the 259 is a nightmare on many occasions during the course of the day. It's going to come up to the Tesco roundabout. It's going to come up to the Morrison's roundabout. It's going to go up to the new Link Road. And when it's eventually finished, we'll link up to the 27, and then eventually, when the A27 bypass is completed, this is going to be ludicrous to the local community, for people trying to get to work, for people trying to get to school. It's ludicrous to have so many vehicle movements on inadequate roads. These roads were built in the 1930s. When there was a fraction of the amount of traffic on the roads that there is nowadays, and so this shouldn't even be a consideration, this new facility, because it's the wrong place, because we haven't got the infrastructure for it. I'm not saying that we don't need these kind of things. Yes, we do. We all generate too much rubbish. It has to be dealt with. But it has to go in a place where there is an infrastructure that can deal with the amount of lorry movements that's going to be. Thank you.
Thank you. I know Councillor Buckland wants to come back, but can I just go back to the Assistant Town Clerk, please?
Okay, I was very briefly, Chair, all I was going to say was this is very different to the planning application. The congestion arising from the facility is something that members have already raised as part of the ordinary planning application process, and that was entirely appropriate. That's not a matter in itself for consideration when it comes to issuing this permit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Buckland.
Sorry to interrupt. Could I come back on that?
Very quickly.
Sorry, thank you. But surely the increased number of lorries is going to affect the atmosphere and the air quality. Yeah. So that comes into this permit.
Yes.
So I'm linking the two, that if there's going to be all these extra lorry movements, it's going to affect the quality of air and so will affect the environment. So that was my thoughts behind it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Buckland, sorry to keep you waiting.
Madam Chair, that's absolutely fine. You know, I'm always happy for other councillors to have their say anyway, so it's fine. I haven't got a problem. But thank you anyway, Madam Chair. So, taking the words of advice from the Assistant Town Clerk in reference that this doesn't take in consideration of the permit, well, what I would say to the Town Clerk in a nice way is it should do, because and I totally agree with Councillor Turner on this, because at the end of the day, you know, there's a new housing development being built at Yapton, Warburton, end of Ford Lane there, which is obviously going to increase the traffic flow just around that area there. There's other applications that are going in, and then we're gonna be hit with another 109 vehicle movements going in and 109 vehicle movements going out. So now if you take a trip up to Ford Lane, not Ford Lane, the Ford Road by the Ford prison there anyway, it's already suffering already, and that's just with the vehicle movements that are going in and out of Ford already, and obviously the commuter belts people that are running backwards and forwards to wherever they're going themselves. So, you know, the infrastructure isn't there to actually be able to cope. And as we already know, the issues with the A259 and all this, that and the other. So I actually totally concur here with Councillor Turner in reference to that this is going to affect the environment. It's going to affect the, you know, the air pollution, etc., etc. So I just don't know, and I can't see, you know, and Councillor Turner is quite right that we haven't got the infrastructure here, and we all know that. Us as councillors, as I will quote Councillor Tandy, those that live around here, we know what we're talking about because we live here, you know, and it's very true. So I do seriously have concerns over this, and I hope it's noted and sent forward to the Environmental Agency, please. That, you know, we believe we haven't got the infrastructure. The lorries can only go one way, and that's coming out of that unit, out of Ford and turning right. Is that right? Yeah, turning right and coming out down to the 259. You can't send them up the other way. It would just be total carnage. I mean, people, you know, are not happy now that Arctics come off of the 27 and trundle down through to Warburton to get to Yapton where the nurseries are. So, and we see what, you know, not carnage, but traffic reductions that has and problems in and around there by having such big vehicles. So to add another 109 to this in them short, quiet roads, and that is absolutely unforgivable and ridiculous. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for those comments. Councillor Turner, did you have any further comments, or is that from previously?
Well, that was from previously, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to check. So we've heard a lot of comments. Assistant Town Clerk, are we in a position to summarise and put something forward?
Certainly, Chair.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, it's in the context of this application, members are quite rightly saying that it's the noise and odour, it's the impact of the emissions on the existing area and taking into consideration all of the proposed new residential development that is proposed in the area, and that is a valid consideration. So for clarification, yes, the impact of all of that vehicle traffic and the emissions that it produces is certainly a valid comment, one which we can put forward.
Thank you very much. Are members happy with that summary that will be put forward on our behalf?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, agreed, Chair.
Thank you.
Agreed, thank you.
Thank you very much. In that case, thank you for that, and we'll look at item 9, Master Plan North Littlehampton. Do we have any updates?
Nothing specific, Chair, other than to say that the next meeting of the steering group is proposed for the 27th of July, and that's to be confirmed.
Lovely, thank you very much. Moving on to the next item then, 10 exempt business.
There is none, Chair.
Thank you. In that case, I will now confirm the meeting finished at, check my watch, 7:53 p.m. I'd like to thank all the staff for their support throughout the meeting, and to members and the public for their patience. Thank you all very much, and good night.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good night, Juliet. Good night.
Thank you.